And I think we're supposed to start at 10:35, but it's all good. We have Matthias Keller, who is a chief scientist at Kayak. Pretty awesome. Adam Medros, who is SVP of Global Product at TripAdvisor. Right there. Thank you for sitting in order, guys. That's really wonderful. This just happened auto-magically. I happened to have them in a certain order, and they sat in that order. It's amazing. Swapnil Shinde, CEO of Mezi, who you may have heard about yesterday. And is it Mezi or Mezi? Mezi, excellent, want to get that right. And Adam Goldstein, who is the CEO of Hipmunk. So we got an all-star cast here, and I'm giving myself some feedback. I'm going to be back here a little bit to talk about travel and AI. Guys, can you take 30 seconds each to intro yourself and your company? And I mean like 30 seconds. It'd be great because we only have a limited time frame here. Let's start right here and just go straight over. 30 seconds, who you are, who you work for, what you do, what's awesome.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Matthias Keller. I'm the chief scientist at Kayak, world's leading travel search engine. And within Kayak, I run a team which is called Kayak Labs, which is our innovation arm. We solve problems that involve product, machine learning, and web and mobile technologies. And in the last 2 years, we have been focusing a lot on AI and chatbots. And yeah, this is what we do. So you may have used us. You may have seen our demo on Amazon Alexa yesterday. You may have used our product on Slack. We are on Facebook Messenger. And yeah, I think this is what all brings us together.
35.6 seconds. Awesome. Go for it.
I'm Adam Medros. I am the SVP of product at TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor, I would say, is the world's largest travel site. We have 400 million people a month use TripAdvisor, and that covers we cover 500 million reviews. And so, with all of that content, we have been spending a lot of time thinking about like how do you make both the product better, but bring AI and machine learning and those technologies to bear when you have that corpus of content to mine.
Awesome. Swapnil?
Hey guys, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mezi. So at Mezi, we are building the most advanced AI for travel, and we are putting a personal travel assistant in your pocket so that planning and booking travel doesn't feel like work. And we are also building like advanced AI and machine learning tools that we are offering to travel management companies and corporates, which allows them to offer superior service to their travelers.
Awesome. Travel often feels like a lot of work, so that sounds cool. Adam Goldstein.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hipmunk. Hipmunk is the world's best travel site. I started the company 7 years ago with an aim to take the agony out of planning travel. We're the only site that makes it easy to find the least agonizing option because we sort by agony. And we're also the only site to show you things like Airbnbs alongside your hotels so that you can see all of the options in one place.
Very awesome. So we have the best, self-proclaimed, we have the corporate, we have the biggest travel site, and we have the biggest travel search engine, if I remember that correctly. Awesome. I am John Koetsier. I am a journalist and analyst. I used to work for VentureBeat. I do not anymore. I write for Forbes and Inc. magazine, and I'm the mobile economist for Tune, the mobile marketing platform. So welcome. Thanks for being here. Let's kick it off, and we'll start in reverse order. We'll start with Adam here and just ask, hey, where are we seeing AI pop up in the travel industry? And if you give like one example or something like that, and we'll just travel down the line. Is that cool?
Sure, yeah. So the biggest place that we see AI these days is in chatbots. It's not the only one, but it's one that's really interesting because when you have a one-to-one communication with people, you can see exactly what they're asking. And that free-form question, that free-form data can allow you to train an AI much more rapidly than you can if all you're going off of is the signals in a traditional user experience.
Very cool, especially if that chatbot is actually powered by AI and is not just an if-then thing looking for some keywords that many of the chatbots are today. Swapnil, something you're seeing that AI is being used in travel. It's exciting.
Yep. So in fact, Mezi, all that Mezi offers is an AI-powered chatbot, and it's a very clean messaging interface. And we have seen what we have seen is like people and travelers love to interact with something like a travel operating system in a very natural language. So the ability to say that, Mezi, can you actually get me a flight from here to New York, and then a dinner reservation for 2, and then a flight back early afternoon the following day. I think a query like this in extremely natural language can be easily optimized using AI bots. And then we have humans to assist it in case AI fails, and then train it in real time and get better with every conversation.
Awesome. So we got two sort of chatbot type answers. Do we have something else, Adam?
I mean, you're certainly going to see it in customer care. That's not where we're focused, but I think that's a logical place for chatbots to show up in travel. Customer care in travel is a pretty big part of the industry. So it's likely we'll see some there.
Awesome. Anything else, Matthias?
Yeah, I want to give you three examples on three parts of the funnel. We want to use AI in the discovery phase, helping you to find where to go. We want to use it in the search phase, offering it you on newer interfaces, but also helping you figuring out from all these options what is the best for you. And we want to use it while traveling. And one of our examples is, for instance, our work on crowdsourcing TSA wait time data that we want to more and more automate. But this is one of the examples while you're traveling, or let's say like when you're stuck finding you an alternative airplane.
That's really interesting, actually, because you're sort of saying it's kind of the Waze of travel, of wait times in airports. You know, Waze is obviously finding the best route depending on traffic and everything like that. Something like that, real time.
We heard the comparison of Waze in airports for a while around here now. I think it's a very good way of describing it. Right now, it's manual of users who are on kayak trips, and this information gets immediately relayed to other people who may get stuck in it. We are hoping to get to the point of Waze where we have millions of people, everyone in the airport, using our app, helping others to figure out how to get through the lines.
Very cool. Awesome. So what we've heard a little bit so far is challenges on booking travel, which is a pain in the ass. I mean, who here is doing booking for business travel? Everybody here is booking business travel sometime, right? Hopefully, you may have an assistant, but you may not. And you can spend half an hour, 45 minutes booking your travel, right? So we talked so far about ways to fix that. But price is another issue, right? Price is important to a lot of us, maybe even especially for personal travel. We want to find the best price for the best thing. How are we using AI in that area? Let's do reverse order here, and let's go Matthias first. How are you using AI to find the best pricing? When to pull the trigger? What's the best time? Should I do it the day before? Should I do it the day of? Should I do it a month in advance? I used to come into SF every other week for 3 years. I'd book my hotel the day I flew in. Like I'd fly into, and in the office I'd book my hotel on Hotwire or something like that and get a pretty good deal. What are we doing now? Go for it, Matthias.
Yes, I think so. The prime example for this is technology like flight price prediction, where we try to say if you should buy or wait. The honest part about it is not yet a crystal ball, so it is so often right most of the times, but sometimes also wrong. And I think this is what people want to see, especially in flight prices, because of the dynamics. I think another example which applies to everyone in the travel industry is the ranking of results, which is basically the Netflix of hotel rooms, of finding out you want to watch this movie in probably that hotel.
Interesting. So you got to know something about what people like or didn't like about their experience. What about TripAdvisor? What are you doing there?
Yeah, I don't think price is a tricky part, right? Because I think fundamentally consumers have a distrust when anyone that's trying to sell them something tells them this is the right time, wrong time. So you can give people data, but I'm not sure that AI is gonna provide a lot there. What does matter is ranking hotels, right? Telling people that this is the right hotel for them, why it's the right hotel for them, why it's a good value, is the things that we're building into our best value index, and we started years ago with our Just For You work around personalization.
That's pretty cool. I mean, what I am interested in terms of pricing and where I would trust an AI potentially is, I mean, if I'm on a plane sitting down, I can virtually guarantee you no one else on the plane has paid the exact same rate I've paid. Right? I mean, that's optimized according to who I am, how often I travel, if I have some status, if I don't have some status, you know, if they care about me, don't care about me, whatever, right? So there's something going on there, and if I could have some help with that, I'd appreciate it. But anyways, what are you seeing in terms of price optimization in AI?
So I think price optimization is super important. We in fact ended up building a technology called Travel Genome, which handles this. So what we do is when a customer asks us for a particular flight, we take all his preferences, we query all the travel providers in real time, including Kayak, Expedia, Priceline, and even GDS systems. So we look at both consumer and corporate inventory. We segment those results by the current preferences that we have learned from the current conversation, then their saved preferences that we have learned from the past conversations. And we pick 3 options, then look at that pricing across all the providers and offer the best price to the customer. So that's how we are guaranteeing you the best price every time you use Mezi.
Interesting. Matthias, any thoughts?
I'm the other Adam.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
That's okay.
Matthias, sorry. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, one thing that we see in terms of pricing is that we can identify when a flight is a good deal. So that is a different question than when's the best time to buy. So, for example, each week we generate an email for people who subscribe to just tell them, you know, where could you go that's an especially good deal this upcoming weekend? And we look across hundreds of different destinations, and we know from historical data what you'd expect the price of that fare to be. and we can identify when there are outliers that might make sense for you to take a look at.
That must be super popular with digital nomads or millennials. You can just pick up work from anywhere and head out on the beach occasionally as well. Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to ask another question here. I've got a bunch of others, but I want some audience participation as well. So I'm not going to ask right now, but if you have some time to think about a question or something you want to ask any of these people, some pretty prominent people in the travel industry, we're going to give you an opportunity for that also. Let's get a little outside of your area of maybe comfort zone a little bit, because all of you offer opportunities for helping people book travel and everything like that. But there's also the on-site experience. You're in the hotel, you're on the trip, you're doing things, you're trying to find the best thing to do. I was recently on Malta for the island of Malta for a conference. I had one day off, and what did I do? I sort of looked at some of the brochures and I Googled and blah, blah, blah. But what can we do for people using AI while they're in the trip experience? Let's start here with Adam.
Sure. So we can look at things like your past trips to understand what you like to do, what kinds of restaurants perhaps, or things like that. One of the things that we've actually already built the base for is using information from your calendar. So we can suggest places to be or things, right now we're just suggesting travel, how to get there and where to stay. But the same data we could use for other things as well.
Anything, Swapnil, there?
Yes, so I think post-booking experience is one of the most important parts of the journey for Mezi, because being a personal assistant, Mezi is in your pocket and travels with you. We think that's very powerful. So we have spent a lot of time optimizing that particular experience. And when you actually start using Mezi for the first time, we'll ask you for certain preferences, and they will include like, what are the things you like to do, like when you're traveling, like do you like nightlife, nightclubs or museums? And based on those preferences, let's say you're traveling to New York, we'll actually find you hotels that are closer to, say, museums versus, say, nightlife, etc. And we also like completely iron out the trauma and the pain when you're going to reschedule a flight or a hotel. That's super painful. Imagine like spending 30 minutes on a call with airlines. No one is addressing that. So with Mezi, you send a couple of messages and we take care of that for you.
Very cool. I mean, some of that makes me think a little bit of like Google Field Trip or something like that, right? Where you just have it open and, oh, well, this is where Thomas Jefferson did something exciting or whatever, right? I got to believe TripAdvisor is pretty good at this. You have a lot of venues in your, what are you doing there?
Yeah, so this is an area where we spend a lot of time focusing, particularly on mobile. The notion of what's near me now, whether that's, and this is such a core problem to the traveler, right? You're done with your meeting and you want to go get food. You're on a family trip and the weather is changing, right? This is where that combination of knowing what you like, your preferences, what kind of trip you're on, because we as travelers change our persona as we travel on different types of trips, and then what's around you. So situational awareness, keywords, all the things that can drive this idea of what's near me now. There's a really cool feature that we're working on where we'll also tell you like what you might miss when you get on the way from here to there, right? So this idea that, hey, if you're in Rome and you're walking down this pathway and the Trevi Fountain's just like two blocks over, if you just take that little turn, that's like such a magical moment for a traveler that they don't get back to their hotel and realize like, oh, I was almost right there. I wish someone had told me like take a left instead of going straight.
That's super awesome, and that's a reason to carry the app around in your pocket, right? I mean, that's really incredible. I took a sort of a tour around the island, Malta, and then I went to the Blue Grotto, which was really cool, but I didn't know, and nobody told me that I needed to get on a boat to actually take me there from where the stop of the tour was, and I had no time to do that because the bus was going to leave. Yeah,
the absolute worst feeling is when you get back from your trip, you say to one of your coworkers, like, hey, I was in Malta, and they say, did you? Yeah. And you say, no, I wish I had talked to you before, like I went on the Malta trip, right? And I think that like ultimately that's where a travel assistant in your pocket is going to have a massive value, whether it's your friend's content or whether it just knows enough about you to make those suggestions based on where you are.
Very cool. Matthias, anything to add here?
Yes, so we have many users on a product called Kayak Trips, which is an itinerary management, and we are putting a lot of effort into the airport experience. So these are things like terminal maps, in-airport navigation with blue dots, like where can I find a coffee? Is there a coffee inside the terminal? And we also have put a lot of effort into then getting around from the airport to your meeting. This can be simple things like, we know you're at the airport, now you will need an Uber, and we help you getting there. this is what we are right now focusing on. We also try to get into restaurants and all these things, but right now it's a very strong focus on really moving people around.
That's got to be super helpful in an airport like Frankfurt, where you can go like it's literally half an hour and get to another terminal somewhere else, and then go through German security twice, which is very, very thorough and takes a long time. Awesome, cool. So I think we're gonna, I'm gonna look for audience questions in a moment here, but I'm gonna pose a bit of a scenario because I think there's a way in which AI can pose a threat to some of the players in the travel industry as well. We talked about it before, and I'd love to hear from you on your perspective. If it's true, if it's accurate, if you think it's bogus, no worries. So what I was saying earlier is, hey, I want to talk to Cortana or Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant. I want to say, hey, book me a trip to Chicago. I want a table for 4 at Morton's. I want to go to the Cubbies. Get all the transfers between them. You know, I want to pay somewhere around this amount. I want a 3-star hotel, but 4 if it's cheap. You know, whatever, something like that. And just have an AI go out there and do all that stuff. That's got challenges potentially for players like these because that could disintermediate, right? But maybe not. Maybe that's science fiction. Maybe it's never going to come. What do you think? Let's start Adam and let's move down.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a new top of the funnel when you start to think about the way people are going to get into bots. It's going to be through the chat platforms. It's going to be through voice platforms. That's for sure. That's nothing new in the travel industry. You know, before those, it was Google, right? That was at the top of the funnel. Maybe it'll be Google again in some form. I think the question will be, what is the unique value that a service offers to a traveler? And because if you're just asking for the flights to Chicago and you're asking Alexa, you probably don't care who's answering, right? You're just going to think of it as Alexa.
Right.
But if there's a service that knows your preferences, that knows your calendar, that knows where you go or where you like to go or what to do, then that's something that you might really be loyal towards. So I don't know that it necessarily favors or disfavors any particular company today. It's going to be a question of how each of those companies builds up a useful experience.
Interesting. Swapnil, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think with this new paradigm of talking and getting your travel planning and booking done, I think it's very important for any assistant to always work. Like most of the chatbots that you see on Facebook Messenger are kind of vending machines. Like they will fail more often than they will work. So I think the challenge is how do you really create a chatbot experience where the user always wins and it always works. And at Mezi, we have done that by putting a lot of humans and assisting them with bots. So for the first 2 years, we did that. Now the role is reversing. We have bots doing all the heavy lifting and humans are only coming into the play to train them when they fail. So I think balancing that and creating an experience where the consumer always gets what he's looking for, because every time they book something on Mezi, they are spending like $900 per transaction. That's a lot of money. The consumers need to trust that particular solution. So I think building something that always works is going to be very important. And focus is going to play a big role. Any platform, any chat platform, AI-based assistant that is horizontal is going to be just average at doing everything. So I think a deep focus going vertically really down is the key.
Very cool. So Adam, TripAdvisor is one of course, the biggest brands in travel, and there's a potential for disintermediation. How do you feel about that? What is TripAdvisor doing, and are you preparing for a future in which that sort of thing might be possible, asking an assistant, a digital assistant, to book some stuff for you? What's that look like, and what's your role in the industry? How's your role in the industry change if that happens?
Yeah, I think that there's always that concern, but as Adam mentioned, I think that a chatbot that just sort of takes in data and spits out data, right, is not a particularly interesting chatbot, and is not how people think about travel. I mean, travel is a really compelling industry. People, it's weird to say, but a lot of people actually enjoy, as painful as it is, they enjoy the process of planning travel as much as the trip itself, right? And they come back and read reviews of the place they've already booked because they want to know that last bit of information. So I think a brand like TripAdvisor, with all of our community and all of our content and all of our photos and all of these other assets that are really hard to, speak out loud in some respects, is what's going to bring people back. So the AI has got to unlock those things and take the friction out of getting that information. And if you do that, then I think TripAdvisor will be just fine in that ecosystem.
Super interesting because, of course, you want to see a picture. It can't just be a conversation. You want to see a picture. What does the hotel room look like? What's the resort look like? What are the attractions? What do they look like? Can I compare and can I look at them differently? That sort of thing. That makes some sense. Awesome. Matthias, same question.
Yes, so let me start to answer with a travel term called dynamic packaging, which basically means putting flights and hotels together. And I think so. As the first part is the logistics, what you're going to need, that it hasn't only be a flight and a hotel, but also restaurants, attractions, anything like that. Where I think where AI comes in, and I would also be happy to see that on a chatbot, but I'm not so much sold on the interface. I rather think like it's going to be this much harder relevancy, price, importance problem, like figuring out you should really see the Cubs. They're playing against a great team, and it's totally worth to pay so much for the balcony versus like this is going to be awful and you don't want to be there, but there is going to be a nice concert over there. Better do that. And I think the AI will play a big role in the content curation and packaging this all together for you. We will see what the interface is, and I would think that mobile and desktop, if they could just do that, that would also just be amazing.
So that's interesting. I mean, we have this phenomenon in travel of packages, right? Package deals. It's your hotel, it's your accommodations, it's a bunch of activities there and everything. And those are kind of like, you know, it's sort of one size fits all or three sizes fits all or something like that. You're envisioning a future in which there's a million sizes fits all or a billion sizes fits just you, right?
And it's just a question, we can't let you go through a million options, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, but here's a package that's customized exactly, personalized to every individual. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Do we have any questions from the audience for any of these people? Anybody? I can walk around and give you a mic. We have one right here. Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi there. I'm going to switch gears from chatbots over to computer vision. And I know that JetBlue is running beta test in New York right now for facial recognition check-in. How do you guys see that impacting the booking flow and the experience regardless of the platform that the users are on?
Awesome. Anyone want to take that?
Well, we talked about photos for, photos for hotels are incredibly important, right? We have photos from users, so we get, hundreds of photos every minute from users on hotels. Quite frankly, not all of them are good photos, right? And using things like machine vision to sort of separate out this is a really good photo, what's this photo about, and where it's going to sit in that sort of photo sort order is something that's way better than using people to do that. With the traffic we have and with the data we have, we can kind of get you to what are the 10 best photos we should show you for this hotel.
Interesting. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, as far as using facial recognition for things like checking in or security, immigration, I think we're just getting started with that. I think there's a huge bottleneck at airports as people have to just sift through paper documents, and it's actually not better for security because those documents can be forged. And so I think it's going to be better for travelers and security once that gets more broadly installed, and I think you're just seeing the beginning of it now.
And it's amazing how often some random person with some random job wants to see your boarding pass. The same boarding pass you've shown 5 times previously. Excellent question. Awesome. Of course, in a facial recognition future, we have interesting questions about privacy and all that stuff, but yes, we already gave up all our privacy when we went into an airport, right? Excellent. Any other questions from the audience? Anybody have something? We have something right here. Go ahead. Oh, who? Coming to you.
Thanks so much. I'm just curious about how you guys think about curation. Because to your point, with TripAdvisor, you guys obviously have this incredible amount of user reviews. But in terms of solving how to influence that decision making, yes, it's price, but also like those trusted voices. I'm just curious how you guys are potentially partnering with other sources, et cetera.
Curious about curation. Who wants to take that one first? Go for it.
I can maybe start. So if you think of hotels, there is or let's start simple. If you think about a flight, there is not much to say. It is kind of like everyone understands it. But if you think about hotels, there are a lot of data points. There is data like, where is this hotel embedded? How is the neighborhood like? What type of locations are around it? Then there are also the simple stars and things like that. And there may also be like social signals like, who of your friends went there? But what ultimately seems to work is that many people want to be at a specific location. They want to get the best out of their trip. They want to see what's important. And we have ranking algorithms that can make that happen also in a personalized way of figuring out when it then comes to the details. Everyone wants to be in a good location, but maybe at a different price, more boutique, more budget. But the data is very, very rich around it. And we didn't even just start like looking at images at that scale that we would analyze them. A lot of it is like map data, for instance, and reviews.
Very cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you have millions of reviews showing up every year, right? What gets interesting is to try to pull out, in some ways, like what is the zeitgeist of this hotel? Like, what's this hotel all about? So saying that a hotel in New York is loud, right, is kind of meaningless. It's actually telling you that the hotel is quiet in a place like New York where everything else is loud is the really interesting insight that you can deliver to a user that helps them choose this hotel over another hotel, or what are the bath products that the hotel offers, or other elements of the hotel. So trying to summarize a hotel using user-generated content is actually a really interesting machine learning problem, but a really powerful one when you have that body of content.
Super interesting. I mean, and of course, as somebody who's never been to New York, first time, they might not know that either, and so you have to personalize also. Very cool. I think we're running out of time. Am I right? You guys really know the schedule. Yeah, I got a nod there. Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to ask each panelist to end with one last big thought. Okay, so how will travel be different in 10 years thanks to AI? We'll start with Matthias and we'll go across and try and do it in 30 seconds, 45 seconds. How will travel be different in 10 years thanks to AI?
Yes, that's a great question. So the way how we approach it and what we want to build is that we want to take the time out that you spend doing things you don't want to do. Researching millions of options, finding that one option, being on the phone for hours, figuring out some name change, being stuck in security lines, losing your luggage, not figuring out where to go. And we really believe that AI, and that may also be an interface question like the hotel booking we presented yesterday on Alexa, where the interface could really help of having this affordable engine in the back, figuring out all your issues. And I was recently myself planning a more complicated trip, and it literally took me 2 days and 100 searches. It was going all over Europe, and we had different people, different dates, and I just don't want to do that anymore in 10 years or have other people have to do it.
Yes, Adam?
Travel's about experiences, right? And people fundamentally want to have these amazing experiences. They remember the restaurant they went to, the hotel they stayed in, the time they spent with their family. And so if you can just remove the friction of getting to those experiences and keep the flexibility of being able to, change up along the way, that I think ultimately just makes travel better. So the tech has to recede into the background.
Nice. Swapnil?
I think the way we look at it from Mezi's perspective is like the future is going to be about saving time and not saving money, because all of us are just going to get busier as we move along. And keeping that into account, like we envision a future where, and the way we are building Mezi is like a travel operating system with which you can interact in natural language. And it should be able to not only plan and book your travel, but also be with you always on 24/7 as you're going through the travel journey. Whether it's rescheduling, booking, everything should be taken care by that operating system. So, and I don't think it's 10 years away, maybe like 4 years away, where majority of it is working in a respectable manner.
Very cool. And Adam?
Yeah, I think the biggest change is going to be that people are going to find out about stuff, pushed to them proactively, as opposed to initiating the research on their own. They're going to get suggestions for where to go or what to do based on the parts of their trip that are already booked or the meetings that they've got coming up. And for those that are tired of doing all of the work themselves, they'll have an option to not do any of it themselves. For those that want to, they still can.
Excellent. Wonderful. Matthias Keller, Kayak, and we've got Adam Medros from TripAdvisor, CEO of Mezi, Swapnil, and Adam Goldstein from Hitmonk. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Great stuff. Please give them a round of applause.
Thanks, guys.